Hi, Carson. I heard from my son about what's going on soon. He's going to be gone for 2 months on a business trip out of the state, right? I want to say that we all knew that he'd have a large trip at some point for the company, but I was hoping that it wouldn't happen until your daughter became a bit older. Hi, Pam. You have that right. He'll be out of the house for 2 long months. And this is far sooner than I had anticipated for him going on a long trip like that. Well, he told me that during his time away from home, he wants me to be around in case you need anything from me. So if you have any questions or needs, let me know and I'll help out. And even if you don't have anything you need help with, you can always talk to me just for conversation. I'm a retired mother now, so it's always on my mind to step back into my shoes again to help someone care for themselves or their kids. Thank you, Pam, but I don't think him being out of the house will change much of anything for me. I'm still going to be able to get all my errands and chores done while my daughter's in school. And I'll be out of the house sometimes to work my part-time job, so I won't feel too overwhelmed by everything at home. Well, that's true that you'll be busy. I'm sure that my son will be a bit worried while he's away, but now that he's out of the house, you and I can spend some more time together. Maybe all of us girls, including Nancy, could take a day to go out to lunch and do a little shopping. I think that these next 2 months would be the perfect time to do something like that. That's exactly right. I'm sure having him around is the best for me, but it'll be nice to not have to worry about making dinner for him for a little while. Please don't tell him I said that. I'm not going to say a word to him about that. I know that you'll do your best taking care of the house and your daughter as well as your job. But during times like these, it's best that you spread your wings a little. But I'm sure that your daughter will be a little lonely with him gone. That girl loves to go out a lot and play with my son, right? Yeah, those two love to go fishing and camping together a lot. But I hate bugs, so I usually don't tag along with them. Even though she's a girl, she really loves to do things that men normally are interested in. She's in 3rd grade now, but she's always out with all the boys in her class playing in the mud during recess, and she'll come home looking absolutely filthy. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just proof that she's being raised very well. I know that, but by this time most girls are getting into fashion and makeup and will start talking about boys that they have crushes on. Yet recently she asked my husband and I to get a pet lizard to keep in her room. She really is taking after her father, isn't she? I want to keep letting my daughter do the things she likes, but having a reptile in this house is where I'm drawing the line with her. Well, as a mother, you'll have things that you don't like her doing, and that's all a part of raising kids. But I was so happy to have a little girl. I'd have really liked it if she started to get more invested into cute things like dressing up and playing with dolls. But in this day and age, things like someone's sex and whatnot don't really matter when it comes to what one likes to do. She's a very bright and cheerful girl, and I think that is all one can ask for when seeing their little girl. I think that you and my son are doing a great job of raising her. Thank you for mentioning that. It makes me really happy to hear that from a fellow mother. I really do mean everything I've said. And to be honest, kids will not always turn out the way their parents hope for. That's right. I can't really agree with her having a pet lizard in our house, but as long as she's outside with things like that, I'll let her continue to play with them. Excuse me. I have to head to the supermarket here soon. Oh, it's already getting to that time of day, isn't it? I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time today talking to you. Don't worry about it, Pam. It makes me feel a whole lot better knowing that you're there to offer me some help while my husband is away. I'll try my best not to rely on you too much, but if something does happen here, I'll let you know. Please, and thank you, Carson. And I'll do whatever I can to make sure that you and your girl are okay. Carson, are things going all right over there? Do you think that you can talk for a moment, or are you guys in the middle of dinner right now? Good evening, Pam. I'm still preparing things for dinner, so I can chat a little. Nancy is still working on her homework, so we aren't having dinner for some time yet. Is she doing okay? Yeah, she's been acting the same way she always does. Well, actually, I'm wanting to talk with you about something related to her. Recently, she's been calling me a lot when it's getting close to our bedtimes. You're saying that Nancy is the one calling you? Yes, and at first I thought she was just calling because she had some free time to talk. But it's been happening a lot recently, and so I'm starting to become a little worried about her. What has Nancy been talking to you about when she calls? I want to know if she's giving you a reason for why she's calling at night. Well, I haven't heard from her directly what the reason is. I was wondering if the reason was something that she didn't want me asking about. But I just thought that it was a bit odd of her to be calling me so often late at night. I did ask her once, kind of with a lighter tone, but she told me it was because you were taking a bath and she had time to talk. That makes sense to me. Recently, I've been in the bath a lot, reading my book or watching movies on my phone to relax. And I'm able to do all of that because my husband is away, and Nancy is at that age now where she can handle herself for short periods of time. But maybe she's been getting a little lonely because of that. I'm sorry for causing all of that to affect you. No, you don't have to worry about that. But I really am wondering if the reason for her calling me so often is because you're in the bathtub relaxing. There are times when she feels she can't hang up on me and the call goes on for hours. And so I'm feeling a sense of anxiety radiating off of her when she calls. That's probably because she really loves talking to you, Pam. And I think that she's just really been wanting to talk to you and hear your voice. Right now, she's been having a great time at school. Then I guess I was just overthinking things a little. This week we've been practicing letting her take baths on her own. And so maybe that's been a bit too exhausting for her since she has to sit in the bathroom alone. I'll make sure from now on that I get her out of the bath sooner so she doesn't feel as worried about being alone. I think by doing that, she'll have more time to go about her business and not have time to always call. She's still at that age where she needs someone around her to keep her company. And unfortunately, my son is still out of town, so this is pretty tough on her. I'm sure that's also playing a part in her wanting to talk with you more. But from now on, I'll try a little harder to reduce the time she's allowed on her phone and to make sure that she's not always calling you. You don't have to tell her to stop calling me. And I feel you telling her to stop calling me will make it harder for her to call people in the future. I think I really was just feeling worried about nothing this time. Are you sure? Well, I'll still try a bit harder not to leave her alone as much. So I think when she's in the tub or when I'm taking a bath, we're still around one another to keep each other company. All right. But I'm sure that you still want to take time to have some alone time, so when she has a day off school or it's the weekend, you're more than welcome to have her stay with me. Thank you for offering that. I'll work with Nancy for a bit here, and when things with her have settled down a bit, ask me again to have her over to your place. Grammy? Oh, Nancy, it's been a little while. Yep. Have you eaten dinner and everything already? I already ate. What did you have for dinner today? I had chicken noodle soup to eat. Oh, that sounds so tasty right now. Your Grammy's been having troubles eating soup lately because it makes her belly hurt. Why? Because when you get old like me, you start to have problems eating lots of oil. And you know that chicken noodle soup that Grammy makes has lots of oil in it, right? I didn't know that. But I think what I ate for dinner would be all right for you to eat, Grammy. It was chicken noodle soup from a box. Oh, so your mom didn't hand make the soup this time? Well, sometimes it's nice to have something light like those boxed chicken noodle soups. Well, sometimes it's okay to eat it. But I've been eating it every day now, so I'm getting sick of it. I bet that eating it every day would be very boring. Don't tell Mom about any of this. If you said that to her, she'd get angry at me. Don't worry, Nancy. I won't say anything about this.
Hey, Grammy? I have something to ask you.
Oh, what could it be? Do you have something that you want your Grammy to buy for you?
I don't want anything right now. Tomorrow I'm going on a field trip at school, so I want you to make me a lunchbox.
Your mom isn't going to make one for you to take?
No.
Why won't she make one for you? Is it that Mom has become sick recently?
No. Mom hasn't been home for a week now. So I don't think she knows about the field trip that I have tomorrow.
What?
Grammy, please keep this a secret from my mom. I don't want her to hear about any of this.
I won't tell her a thing, but can you tell me what you mean when you say that she hasn't been home for a week?
She told me she has work and will be out of the house, and said that she didn't want me telling you or Dad. She said that if I said anything about her, that Dad would never come back home.
Your mom has been at work. Your mom doesn't work a lot each week, right?
I don't know.
That's right, you wouldn't know anything about that kind of stuff. So right now you're home alone, Nancy?
Yes.
And when you would call me a lot on the phone, was that because Mom wasn't home? So you called me because you were lonely?
Yes.
Do you know when your mom is supposed to come home?
She said next Sunday.
So another 3 days from now, then. All right, then. Grammy is going to make you that lunchbox to take on the field trip tomorrow. I'll make sure that it's really yummy just for you, okay?
Really? Thank you, Grammy!
Hey, Nancy. Do you want to come and stay the night at Grammy's house until your mom comes home?
But if Mom knows about this, Dad will never come back home.
You'll be fine, Nancy. You can come over here as a secret, and your mom will never know. And I'm telling you, Nancy, that your dad will come home no matter what.
Really?
Has your Grammy ever lied to you before?
No, you never lie. Okay, I want to go to Grammy's house. It has been really scary staying here all by myself.
I'm sure it has been really scary for you. Being alone when you're young is scary and lonely. So asking someone to help you is not a bad thing to do, Nancy. Now I'm going to drive your papa's car to your house and get you.
I can't wait. I'll wait for you.
Pam? Have you gotten any calls or texts from Nancy lately? Why do you ask? Oh, I was just a little interested is all. I just wanted to see if she was still causing you any trouble or not on your end. Nancy has never caused me any sort of trouble before, though, Carson. So then she hasn't called or texted you at all? The last time she messaged me was last week on that Thursday. Is that so? Understood, and thank you for letting me know that. Could this mean that you're finally getting around to looking for your daughter? Huh? Well, if it's her you're worried about, she's at my house with me. And so I'd like you to explain everything that you've been up to me. Excuse me, Pam? Actually, my close friend has been in a serious accident and was on the brink of death. So I had to head back to my hometown to go be with her. And why didn't you bring Nancy along with you if you were going to be gone for that long? I had been planning on coming right back after seeing how my friend was doing. But then when I was there in person, time just started to pass by without me noticing. Well, if that was happening with you, then you should have told me or your husband about what was going on. What were you thinking, leaving a little girl who's only in 3rd grade all alone at home for a whole week? I'm sorry about that. I knew that one of you would get really mad at me for leaving the house for a bit, even if it was for a few hours. And I started to worry that you'd begin to hate me for doing something like that, so I was hesitant to tell anyone. But the one who was most worried was Nancy. And another thing, I know that you did not go back to your hometown, Carson. Did you end up calling my parents and asking them about me? I sure did. Well, I didn't go back to my parents' house, though. I was staying at my best friend's house that whole time. Stop trying to hide things from me. I'm getting tired of you trying to make your lie even more complicated than it has to be. I know all about how you packed up a large suitcase full of clothes and everything and left the house for one whole week without Nancy. And when I saw you come back to your house with another person to be dropped off, I got a good look at their face in the car. What? And as they pulled out of the driveway and took off, I got a great photo of their license plate and am looking it up right now. So I think you know how all of this is going to end, right? Do you know what we're going to want to say to you? I'm sorry about that, Pam. That was really not something I wanted you to know about. You should be apologizing to your husband and daughter, not me. Does my husband already know about this? Yes. Well, you're wrong. Let me explain the truth to you. For just a bit there, I became too relaxed with myself while my husband was gone. But know that I do really love my husband and Nancy with all my heart. I'm sorry for what you had to learn about, but please forgive me. You had an affair. And not just that, but you also left Nancy home alone a bunch of other times to go on vacation. Do you think I'm okay with all of that? I did not have an affair. Do you really want to make me spit out all the facts to you, Carson? The man that was in that car that brought you home was a man your age. But it wasn't just the two of us that were together. Well, then can you show me proof that there were others with you guys at all times? Well, there were some other people with us that I had only just met. Well, before we continue talking about you having an affair, let's talk about the main problem here. And that's that you left your little girl home all alone for days at a time. And all those times that she had called me a few weeks ago was when you weren't even in the house with her, right? And after talking with you about her calling me all the time, you went and yelled at her to never call me again, right? I'm sorry. If it was just that you had been having an affair with another man, then I'd let this all be you and my son's problem to solve. But you left Nancy home all alone to go out with another man. And not just for a day or two, but one time for a whole 7 days. I am not going to forgive you for something as irresponsible as that. I don't think you're ever going to get to call yourself her mother ever again after this. What has my husband said about this? I think you should know what he's said more than anyone right now, right? What do you think a father that loves his daughter so much would be saying right now? I don't want to get a divorce, though. I was just going out to play with some other men. You left your little girl at home all by herself for days to go let other men have fun with you and think that we wouldn't get upset with you? Pam, I promise that I'll never go behind neither my husband nor my daughter's back again. So please try and help them understand what's happened here. I really love my daughter so much and think that she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've never meant to leave her behind before, and I don't ever want to get a divorce and lose my rights to her. You told Nancy that if she told anyone about you or about the fact that she was left home alone, that her dad would never come back. That's how you chose to threaten the girl you say you love so much? I never meant that as a threat, though. That was just me asking her to do me a favor. You told her the worst thing that she never wanted to hear from you, and that was that her father could never come home if she talked about you. I'm telling you right now that you have left your daughter behind by choosing to scar her so that you could go off and have sex with other men. When children are at their youngest, they are the most vulnerable to being hurt by their parents' actions. And those scars will never heal. I'm sorry. I really messed up a lot this time. So that's why this week-long trip was going to be my last time, because I knew that what I was doing was stupid. I'm telling you the truth right now, so please believe me. I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth after what stupid things you've gone and pulled. And that's because you lied to me about all of it.
I have not. I'm telling you that not all of this has been a lie. Please, Pam, give me one more chance to make all of this right.
You are the one that made yourself lose all the respect you had gained from me. You would apologize to me for any of the troubles that Nancy was causing me when she called over and over again. But you forgot to apologize for all the troubles you were causing us. At this point, you can go ahead and run off with whatever guy you'd like that isn't my son. You're the only person that's willing to lie to your own child and then lie to her grandma and father, right? So you can go ahead and live a life outside my family. After that, Carson and my son got a divorce, and in that divorce, my son got full custody of Nancy. And so now he's back home with me, and we all take care of Nancy. This is something that I only learned about after the divorce, but apparently Carson was with other men for well over a year before we found out. And the main man that she was fooling around with happened to be her boss from her part-time job. But he wasn't the only man she had been with during that time, as there were 4 other men that she would go out with when her husband was away for business. And we also learned later that what she meant by there being other people with her and the men that she went out with for a week was that she had been with her boss and another couple that had all participated in sexual activities together. It was both very disgusting, but also relieving to find out all of this about her, because she would only ever go out with these guys while my son was on business trips, so both him and I never knew a thing about Carson being out of the house. And had she not left the house for over a week, leaving Nancy on her own, we may never have known about what Carson was doing with all those other men. But I guess this time Carson became a little too daring and wanted to be around her boss and other men a bit more than before. And having left the house multiple times while leaving Nancy at home all alone, I can't believe that she never saw how lonely it was making her daughter. I think all of that really created a lot of scars for Nancy, but I'm so thankful that she had the courage to tell me about it so that my son and I could take action. And as for Carson and her boss, he apparently had a wife himself that he was still around. And so, in the end, Carson was forced to not only pay a settlement to my son, but also had to do the same to the wife of the man she thought was worth having an affair with. And of course, since my son got full custody of Nancy, Carson will be left paying child support a long time now until Nancy turns 18. So for the next 10 years or so, she's going to live life under all the troubles she's caused herself. And hopefully while being in deep regret about all of it. I hope that length of time is enough to teach her that she never really cared about her family, and should just stay the whore that she is for the rest of her life. Nancy was really sad at the time of the divorce, but over just a couple of months, brightness began to fill her eyes again. And right now, she's back to being the happy girl we love as she runs off to school every day. And after the amount of time she was left home all alone with nobody to keep her company, whenever there is someone home with her now, she's so excited. And as for my son and I, we are so happy to know that there will be no more family around her that are willing to lie and threaten her. I will do everything I can to make sure that my granddaughter doesn't have to relive those memories. So for now, I'm going to make sure that her and I are always around each other, and that she has someone she can count on to help her when she needs it. And in the place of her missing mother, I'll be there to give her the love she needs to grow up strong and cheerful.
Seth, I've been told the day that I'll be able to get out of the hospital. They say that I'll be able to come back home in another 3 days.
I see. On that day, I'll take the day off of work and come there to get you.
You don't have to do that for me. They're going to call a taxi that allows wheelchairs to take me home in.
Cammy, I'm so sorry. I'll do my best to support you in any way I can to help you get back on your feet, literally.
You don't have to blame yourself too much over this. It was also my fault for dozing off while we were walking along.
You being alert wouldn't have made any difference. It's all my fault for crossing that bridge behind you while looking at my phone the whole time. Because of that, I ran into your back at the stairs down the bridge and you tumbled all the way to the bottom. And because of that, you're in a wheelchair now.
They never said anything about me never being able to walk again, though. The doctor said that as long as I continue my rehabilitation, there's a good chance that I'll be able to walk again.
Well, that's just a possibility, right?
Don't say that like it'll never happen, okay? I'm going to put my best foot forward to make sure that I can stand on both of my feet again.
I'm sorry.
And the other thing is it's lucky that this was all with you. If it was some random stranger that had done this to me, my mental state would be so much worse.
I don't think so. Look, your legs are...
Well, if you're going to be so upset by what's happened, then why don't you promise me to never do something like that again? The next time you do something like this to me, I won't be so kind to you.
Of course. I'll never even look at my phone anymore while I'm walking. I'm so very sorry, Cammy.
If you're understanding of my feelings, then we can stop talking about all of this and move on from it. Stop with all your pouting right now, and go back to being the cheerful man that I came to love.
You are so strong, Cammy. Are you really not that upset with me right now?
Well, you're my husband, Seth. Is there any point to me being upset with you now, after all that happened is in the past?
But for a while now, you're not going to be able to walk.
Whether I held anything against you or was angry with you, those emotions would never help me get my legs back. So that's why I'm going to let the past go and move forward to a life where I fight my hardest to get better. I'm going to keep moving forward, and so should you.
And that's very true, but...
So now we're going back to this?
I'm sorry.
Hey, on the day I get out of the hospital, you really do not have to take the day off work. So you can come see me when you're out and we can celebrate. We can call it a celebration of me being released from this cold hospital room.
All right. Then on my way home from work, I'll get us a huge cake. What do you want to do for dinner that night?
I wonder if I'll be able to cook as well now that I'm in a wheelchair. I think for a little bit I won't be able to make much at home.
Then how about we order delivery of some kind?
That's a great idea. I will have to be working on making the place more accessible to myself when I get back home. And so I wouldn't be able to get anything together for dinner anyway. So I'll order something while you're coming home to be delivered.
If you need any help with anything, I'll help you move the furniture around when I get home.
Thank you. But I'll let you know about all of that after I give living in a wheelchair a try to see how everything feels.
All right, I'll leave that up to you then. I'll do anything you need me to when I get home.
Seth, can you make sure to buy some vinegar on your way home from work today?
Why do I have to?
It's been raining all day, so I haven't been able to get out since it's hard to move in a wheelchair in the rain.
Well, if you had bought yourself a poncho before, you would wear that and go. All you do is sit around at home every day now, so you have all day to go out and shop while I don't.
I'm just asking you to buy me some vinegar. There are stores all along your drive home that you can stop at and grab some.
Then I don't need any dinner from you tonight. I'll eat something on the way home.
Huh? Why would you do that instead of just stopping at a store for 2 seconds?
You ran out of vinegar. And you never bought yourself a rain poncho, so this is on you.
I mean, I guess you could blame me for that. But saying that you'll eat out tonight because you don't want to buy a single bottle of vinegar is a bit strange.
That's not the only reason for me staying out to eat. Coming back home to you always getting in my way is such a pain.
Getting in your way? I don't think it's okay to say that about me.
Your stinking wheelchair is huge and blocks everything. I feel that being at home with you around is starting to raise my blood pressure.
I can't do anything about that, though. I wouldn't be able to go anywhere without the wheelchair.
Who was the one that said that they'd put their best foot forward to be able to walk again? And when you said there was a chance of walking again, was that a lie?
Don't say that to me. I said there's a chance that I will be able to walk again as long as I keep going to rehab. That wasn't me saying that I will walk anytime soon. And I'm still going to rehab every day almost, and I have no plans of giving up anytime soon.
You are so full of it. You have everything handed to you because you're disabled and the victim. And anytime you want to go somewhere with me, I have to push you around, and at home I'm always forced to care for you. I'm putting in so much work and it's all for nothing.
You're saying that helping me is supposed to have merits or something? Do you not remember that me having to live in this wheelchair is because of you?
And we promised to never bring that up again, right?
Sorry. But with everything you're saying to me right now, it's making me really sad. At first you were saying you'd always be around to support me. But now, you've slowly been getting colder and more distant from me. And while you've been distancing yourself, I've still been putting in 110%.
Don't tell me that you've been putting in that much effort. I don't see any results from whatever efforts you speak of. I have to sacrifice my life to take care of a defective woman now. So I think you better try harder to make some of this up to me.
Defective woman? You've been thinking of me like that?
Well, you can't walk now, can you? And when I'm not around, you can't do anything. And when it rains, you can't even get out of the house. Even if you were still normal like the rest of us, then you'd be able to handle yourself.
I never wanted to hear that from you.
What? Are you going to start blaming me some more? I've done my best to stay quiet and never mention anything about wanting a divorce, all while taking care of you.
You want to get a divorce?
Of course I want to. But both of your parents and my parents would tear me a new one if I were to mention anything like that to them. So I have to be responsible for everything now. But not if I'm going to keep being blamed for every little thing.
So you've been saying around me so that I wouldn't get angry with you?
I'm tired of this. Talking to you is awful. You'd be the one getting screwed the most, so why don't you just shut up and let me be for now?
Seth, don't you think you should come home right after work so that you and I can talk about all of this more?
But it's a freaking pain having to talk to you. I'm going to do what I have to, okay? So stop trying to talk to me about anything, because I do not have the patience for it. But if you can't keep yourself quiet and keep coming at me with all your complaints, then I'm going to leave you for good. I know you're the victim, so you can just shut up about it already.
Seth, I have something I'd like to talk about. Do you think you can come home as soon as you get out of work?
I don't think so. I have a lot of work that just keeps stacking up, and so I don't think I'll be home tonight.
You've never had to work that late while working for that company before, though. And I was doing the same sort of job you're doing now, so I know that it doesn't get that busy.
Well, I don't think you understand this company.
But my dad is working in the same kind of company as you and says that this is not the busy season even for you guys.
Stop trying to compare what this company has to get done with whatever his company is doing. Right now, everyone here is very busy and has a lot of things to handle.
So we're not even going to be able to have a normal discussion anymore, huh?
We don't have anything to discuss, do we?
Well, I do.
Then you can tell me right here, right now on the phone. I'll take a look at what you have to say later after you're done typing.
Then I guess I'll let you know right now. Seth, you've been cheating on me, right?
Huh? What? Do you have any proof of that?
I found a letter in one of your suit pockets. It was from Valentine's Day, and it had some things written on the inside of it.
What the heck? You're going to start doubting me because of that? I just happen to be really popular with a lot of the women around town. So every year I happen to get a lot of Valentine's Day letters and cards from them.
But this one is asking what hotel you want to stay at next time on it. This would mean that you're cheating on me, right?
I don't know anything about that. I bet whoever was writing that was doing so as a joke or something. Stop trying to tell me that that letter is enough proof to say that I'm really cheating on you.
So after all the times you've been staying outside of the house these past few months, you're going to try and hide the truth from me now?
I'm not trying to hide anything from you though, Cammy. You already know that if I'm to throw you away, your life will be over, right? You're still in that crappy wheelchair, and you've gotten old. I don't think there are any men that will be willing to marry a defect like you now. So even if you were to find out that I've been cheating on you, you wouldn't be able to divorce me.
And that's why I'm saying you don't have to try hiding that from me anymore. You could have just told me that you knew about the letter in your suit pocket, and we could have carried on from there.
Well, you can't consider some letter that I get all the time from random women as proof. You're freaking out so much right now that I'm having a laugh. What do you want to do about this? Do you want me to tell you that I'm cheating just so that you can feel something again after sitting in that thing for so long?
So you have been cheating on me then?
I've had to live with a crippled woman. So don't act as though me having some other woman around to play with is such a bad thing.
You're such a jerk, Seth. I understand very well now that you're not the same Seth that I fell in love with. A mess up as bad as you had nowhere else to go but hell.
Shut up already, Cammy. I've been trying so hard to have a life of my own. You've always gotten in the way of it. And because you fell down those stairs, I have to be the one to care for your butt. I didn't volunteer for this job, Cammy. I've said this a lot now, but you should be thankful that I haven't thrown you away yet.
I'm not thankful for you at all now.
Don't you say another freaking word. If you try and talk back to me again, I will seriously leave you. A piece of crap in a wheelchair like you needs to shut the hell up and listen to me.
Calling me a piece of crap is pretty brave of you, Seth. But I can walk again.
Huh? You can walk now?
Yeah. I've been able to stand up now on my own for over a month. And as long as I have some things to support myself with, I'm able to walk.
Stop trying to give me such BS lies. Just a few days ago, you were still in that wheelchair.
That's because I didn't want you knowing that I could walk again. I wanted to take a little bit longer to find a lot of good evidence of you cheating on me. So I played the part of a cripple for just a few more days.
What?
If you had known that I was able to walk again, you might have stopped going out with those other women, and I would have missed my chance to get heart-proof. And having you come back home all the time again would have annoyed me. I also didn't want you trying to change back the Seth you used to be before the accident.
But for over a half of a year, you weren't able to walk. Are you actually able to start walking again that quickly?
You're shocked right now, aren't you? Even the doctors were shocked to see me walking again so quickly.
Have you really been able to walk again?
That's why I'm telling you right now that I have. If you don't believe me, then come home right now and see for yourself.
I see. All right. I'll be home as soon as I can after work.
And we're going to be talking about getting a divorce tonight, okay?
Wait, what the hell? You were finally able to walk again and you want to get a divorce still? Are you saying that since you don't need a wheelchair anymore, you don't have a use for me?
Why should I have to continue being married to the man that cheated on me with multiple other women?
You have it all wrong now, Cammy. You were just a bit upset right now and are overthinking things about what you saw. Did I ever say to you that I was actually cheating on you?
Why do you think I've been so quiet about things for the longest time now? I told you that I was using that time to make sure I got all the evidence I needed. And that's a lot more than just this letter. Me wanting to leave you now isn't because I can walk again. I've been getting ready to divorce way before I was able to stand again. And another thing, these texts are being viewed by both your mom and dad right now.
My parents? Why them? Why are you doing this?
Because I knew I was going to be divorcing you for a long time now. I made sure to do all of this so that you couldn't run away from me. And not just that, but also my mom and dad are watching this conversation play out. So I think it's best you stop trying to make excuses for things and just come home. And remember that there's no use in trying to run now, so just come here after your work is finished and we can move on with things. I'm not going to run or hide from you, so don't try doing that with me.
Cammy, please. Can you please come back home?
I can't. I'm busy with a lot of things now. I have to get a lot of my things ready to move out, and I need to stop by a few different places to work on some legal things.
I left that last girl that I was with though.
Is that right?
So can you please come back and try to make up with me? I want to help you with your rehab again, and I want to make things as smooth as they can be for you as you transition back to walking on your own.
Are you not embarrassed by saying things like that to me? Have you forgotten why this is all happening in the first place and how you treated me a few days ago?
I think that I was a real jerk back then. I know that I was, and it's not okay.
So then you should know that something like that, making up, isn't going to work.
I'm sure this is going to sound like more excuses to you, but those times were hard for me as well.
Huh?
I've been blaming myself ever since the day I put you in that wheelchair due to my negligence. And having to come home to see you in that wheelchair every time was torture. And so I just couldn't manage my feelings about you and what happened any longer, and things happened because of that.
So that's why you started to say terrible things to me and cheat on me with other women? And went and did things on your own without even telling me?
Deep down, I never wanted to do any of those things. It's just that after seeing you like that all the time, I wasn't able to control what I did and said.
I'm done here. At this point, talking to you any longer will make me blow a fuse. I want to hand in those divorce papers soon, so please sign them. If you don't have them signed by the middle of this week, I'll have to take all of this to the court and have it settled there.
Wait a second. I told you that I don't want to get divorced.
Did I ever say that I cared what you think? And didn't you threaten me before the divorce saying that if you let me, I'd be done for?
That wasn't meant to be taken seriously.
You don't want to get a divorce now because my dad had to sit down and say a few things to you, right? You both work in the same field, and he would begin to start saying things about you that might threaten your career, right? And what makes things worse for you is that your boss is best friends with my dad ever since college.
That's not why I don't want a divorce.
Then why? Are you upset that I found out about you cheating on me and don't want to pay the settlement for that? Maybe it's that and everything else. You're afraid that if others find out about this that you've been involved with, they'll start to come after you.
I'm sorry. I'm really so sorry for everything. I really dropped the ball on our whole relationship by doing all those crappy things, so I'll never do anything like that again. So give me another chance.
I think I've given you plenty of chances already, don't you? The reason for me wanting this divorce right now isn't because I've finally become able to walk again. You starting to become distant from me and cold caused me to start to think. And when you kept on calling me crippled, and in your way I didn't try to fight back because I was giving you the chance to come back. I wanted you to warm up again to me and close that distance you made.
Cammy, I'm so sorry.
But with every chance I gave you, you only became more and more hateful towards me. You then started to run away with other women and would really get heated when I tried to say anything to you. And when I was having a tough time, you were never at my side to help me feel better. You had plenty of time to make things right with all the chances I gave you before my love for you went cold.
I really am the worst man alive. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry.
It's too late for that game now.
No, Cammy. What am I going to do if you divorce me now? There's nobody that's going to come and help me after this. Cammy, please help me. Please.
When I needed you to help me, you were off making love to other women and calling me horrible things. Now I don't feel a dang thing for you. It wasn't just my legs that you ended up hurting. You did a far worse job to my heart, and it'll take forever to heal from that than what happened with my legs. If you really do feel sorry for what you did to me, then you can apologize by never talking to me again. A few days after all of that, I received the divorce papers in the mail signed by my husband. I think after a few days of not talking to me and cooling off, he started to realize what he'd done by hurting me so much. But all of that hate from him, and the amount of times he cheated on me, was unforgivable. So me leaving him for good was the right option, I think. And another thing that's really caused me so much pain was that he threatened me by saying that if he divorced me, I'd never make it because I was in a wheelchair. I really thought that he was the kind of man that understood the pain I was in after the accident, but he never once actually thought about how I felt. I'm sure that things like this happen a lot with families, and having a family member end up in a bad accident where they can't walk anymore. But I think that most would come together after the shock and make sure that the afflicted is supported for however long it takes for them to heal. I feel though that had I not been paralyzed from the waist down, there would be some point in which Seth's true character would come out and cause a divorce. After the divorce, my dad did not hesitate to tell a lot of people about the kind person Seth is. And since then, he's been walking a thin line when going out to work. And I've heard that the last woman he had cheated on me happened to be one of his co-workers. And so when that was figured out, his salary was cut and he had to go on unpaid leave for a bit while HR dealt with things. For someone that cared so much about himself and nobody else, he's really let himself go through all of his actions. 3 months after the divorce had happened, things had become so harsh for him that he ended up quitting his job at the company. And anybody that knew him stopped hanging out with him because they all looked down on him for what he'd done. And so I don't really hear anything anymore about what's happening to him. But I think it's over for Seth, and he'll never be able to return to the life he had a year ago before the accident. And I've already gotten my half of the properties in the divorce from him, as well as my settlement, so there's nothing else I need to know or hear from that man. I don't even care about how he's going to survive now without a job or much money, and I shouldn't have to, right? I've been lucky enough to get back in touch with the company I worked for before the accident, and they've allowed me to start working again from home. And because all of my friends and people that my dad has introduced me to, I've been able to stay busy with work and my life, and haven't had to worry about having food to eat or a house to live in. But I'm still very reliant on having my cane to be able to walk. So I'm still going to rehab to make sure that my muscles grow stronger and my mind stronger as well. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to freely walk without some kind of tool ever again, but I'm going to keep on training in hopes that one day I can. Even if the potential for that is really low, if I keep on putting in a lot of work, the chances will continue to grow for me. And along with that, I'm going to keep trying my best to maintain the life I've been given now. And will never forget all the strength I've had to make it this far already.
Emily, your dad ended up working in construction for a while and still has connections to it, right? I remember hearing that from him while at your wedding and wanted to confirm that it was him. Yeah, you are right about that. Sandra, why do you ask about him all of a sudden? Do you need him to do something for you? No, I was just asking is all. But actually, I have to move out of the house I'm living in right now. And since this has come out of nowhere, I'm in a bit of a pinch. That's really tough, actually. Was there a reason for all of this having to happen to you? Well, apparently the landlord's kid is coming back here. And he's asked me to leave my place so that he has a place to give to his kid. Of course, he's going to be paying me to leave the place, but I haven't been able to find a place to move into yet. It's all happened so fast, and I kind of feel like it's a bit unfair of him to do that to my husband and I.
I get what's going on now. That does seem pretty unfair of him to do that, but I remember hearing that you and your husband have been late on some payments, so maybe he's just had enough and needed a reason to get you out. Sorry for suggesting that. But anyway, why did you want to ask about my dad? I don't think he'll be able to help you out much in your current situation.
Well, since he's worked in house construction and knows it all very well, I was wondering if he knew of any new places that I could buy. I've been looking around where my husband works, but I haven't been able to find anything good. So if it's okay with your dad, I'd love for him to show me some places.
But he just worked in building houses and most of the time was in the office anyway, so he never went to any of the job sites. And most of those houses that get built are by people paying them to build, so it's not like he's been building them to then be sold. You'd have to talk to a realtor about things like that. So I don't think he's going to know of any places for you to go.
What? Are you sure? He doesn't have any friends working in the realtor business or anything like that that he could refer me to?
That's a completely different line of work there. But I can at least give him a shout and see what he says. He might know some realtor groups that he's worked with in the past that you could go talk to.
Well, if you don't think he knows anyone, then we'd better not bother him. But right now, I am really in a pinch. I don't even want to have to leave the place I'm at right now or this area.
It can be pretty hard finding places to live in areas as expensive as that of where your husband works. And even if it was cheaper there, it's a competitive spot, so people would be buying a lot quicker than you most of the time. Maybe it's better to look for an apartment in the area again and then wait a bit for the market to settle down.
I'd love to do that, but I'm not wanting to stay in an apartment again after this. Man, searching for housing is so tough. I'm sure it's been tough for you too, right? So you have to understand how I'm feeling right now.
What was tough for me exactly?
Looking for a house. Because you're in a wheelchair, right? You have to find a house that's accessible for you and a part of town that allows you to get around. That had to have been hard, right?
You make a good point. There aren't a lot of apartment buildings with elevators either, unless they were built in the last 20 years. And I want to get out of my place by myself sometimes. So when I was looking, I became pretty frustrated by how very little accessible housing there was.
Right?
Well, even though that was tough, I don't have to worry about it much anymore.
Why not? You're not going to be living there for the rest of your life, right?
Well, my husband and I have had a house built for us. And we made sure that it's really open and very accessible for me, as well as that it's in a place we want to live forever. So I'm living here with no problems whatsoever and hope to for however long I'm around.
Huh? Hold on a second. What the heck? I never heard anything about you guys having a house built.
Well, we have been pretty busy back then, and the whole move into it and everything. And the construction of it took a lot of time out of our day as well. Even now, I'm still doing some things in the house to decorate it, so I'm not quite at the point of telling everyone where I'm at yet. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. I guess I should have since you're family.
Huh? So your husband must really be bringing in the money for you guys. I'm pretty jealous that you get to be with someone like my little brother.
Well, he's been doing a really good job taking care of me. Even to the point that I feel I'm not doing nearly enough for him.
And you are right to feel that way. You are in a wheelchair and probably don't make a penny for you guys, nor can you please him the same way other women can. And I bet you don't even get any of the chores done there.
Actually, I'm doing all the chores still.
Do you really think there are chores that you can do while trapped in that wheelchair? I bet all you do is ride around with a broom and push things around, right? So calling that doing all the chores is a bit much. Are you trying to make fun of someone that's putting in a lot of work as a real housewife?
I see. I'm sorry for making it sound that way.
You don't have to bother with apologizing to me. I can see that that's the way you get a house built for you then. You have to be very thankful for him and all the money he had to sacrifice for that.
You are right.
Oh, well, if you happen to run across any houses that look good and near my husband's work, let me know, okay? I have to find something by the middle of next month or we'll be doomed. See ya!
Sandra, excuse me. I've noticed that some things for you have arrived at our house, but did you mean to send these here?
Ah, yes, I did. I'm sorry for not mentioning that to you earlier. I was forced to move out of my place and have to come to you.
So you're moving in with us?
I heard about this from my dad. He told me that he's going to be living with you both there. And that's the reason you had that house built as well?
I know I just asked this, but I need to ask again. Are you actually thinking of moving in with us?
Well, of course I am. Why else would I be sending a lot of my things over to your house?
Does your mom know that all of this is happening? Right now, everyone is out of the house, and so I can't ask them what they know, but I'd really like that you ask them first before sending things to the house like you're allowed to be here already.
Well, they won't know anything because I haven't told them yet. Do they have to know that I'm coming for me to move in there?
You're asking me that question? Coming into our house this quickly isn't a simple thing. What are we going to do about all of these things you've sent here? Right now, I can barely get around the front of the house with all these boxes in my way. Sorry for the clutter. And you shouldn't have to be thinking that, right? I'm going to be there tomorrow to take care of all those things, so don't feel as though they'll be sitting around for days. So can you do me a favor and move all the packages into an open room? Thank you. No, this is not the time to be saying thank you. I have to check with your mom and my husband about this first. And I'm not going to decide on all of this myself without getting their feedback, because this is their house too. Oh, come on. What are you talking about? That house that you have right now is built on the land that my parents own, right? We did have this house built on their land with the intent that we have them come live with us. But does that have anything to do with you forcing your way into this house? You know it has everything to do with it. That land is my parents' land. And so that means that place is the new family house. And if it's the new family house and I'm family, then I can move there whenever I please. Well, I guess one could say that. But what you're doing and what you're saying are two different things. First, let me go and talk with everyone else about this, and then we can make a solid decision. What do you mean? What I'm saying is different. Why do you have to check with everyone first before letting me move into my family's house? Do you really think they're going to say no to what I'm doing? Because this house is no longer just your parents' place anymore, but mine and my husband's as well. My husband and I were the ones that paid for this whole house to be built. And yet you're trying to move into here without letting anyone know? No matter what the situation is, you have to talk about what you're allowed to do before making a move. My gosh, this is the reason why? Let me tell you something. I think that me living there with my parents would be a lot more beneficial to them than having you there. What is that supposed to mean, Sandra? You know what I'm implying, right? Someone that's disabled and bound to a wheelchair is not able to get as much housework done as a normal person, right? Do you think I'm going to leave my parents in your hands? I told you this before, but I am still able to do all the chores in my state. I can even get a lot of cooking done, and so there's no need to worry here about living with me. If there was, then none of this would have happened in the first place. But even still, that's less than what a normal person can do, right? Or maybe this is something else. Are you having my parents take care of you because you're pretty much useless? That right there is pretty screwed up, considering that they are both getting old. That is not what's happening here. You can say whatever you want, right? I know in reality you are putting my parents through a lot of trouble there. You're the cause of all their problems now, and that's why you won't own up to it. You're afraid they might have to kick you out of there. Even if that's what you think is going on here, you are still not allowed to just barge into this house and say that you'll be living here without everyone in this house's answer first. Please just wait for me to talk to your mom and my husband about this first. You really are a pain in the butt, Emily. And that's why I'm having to get into that place now. Now that you understand, can you move my things to an open room? I'll be coming over tomorrow, and there is nothing you can do to stop me. Sandra, when are you going to be coming home? I have lunch and everything made up for you now. Oh, I'm sorry, Emily. I don't think I'll be needing lunch today after all. What? Again with this? You asked me to make you something yesterday as well and never came to eat it. Well, I'm going out with friends now for lunch. I couldn't say no to them, right? Well, if you knew that ahead of time, you should have told me. It's a pain for me to have to make food that won't be eaten. That's because you're in a wheelchair, right? But listen, this is great. After that whole conversation we had weeks ago, we are still able to live in that house together. So all that crap from you before meant nothing, right? There is still a limit to us all living together. You are only going to be with us until you find a new home, right? Did my parents agree to something like that? But Emily, that house you have is so relaxing to live in.
To the point that I'd love to live in it with you all forever. The only reason we are allowing you to live here is because of what happened between you and the landlord, and you'll only be here until you have a new place to go. You need to start searching for a place more seriously now, or we'll all have a problem. Don't say that to me. That's right. How about you and your husband get out of here? Then there would be no problems with me staying here with my parents, right? Why do you think something like that could ever happen? I told you this already, but this house was planned out and paid for by my husband and I. So we are not leaving. Why not? We are not just going to give the house we had built for us away. And in the near future, we are planning on buying the land off your mom so that it can all be under our name. So you're asking the impossible from us right now. Right. I'm going to change the conversation a little now. What do you want now? Are you finished with all of today's chores yet? I asked you to get it all done before I left, right? I've finished everything already. But you weren't there to help me out with any of it, so it was a real pain as well. Oh, is that so? Then let me add some more things for you. Can you go out and wash my car? What? No way! I may be able to handle things inside the home, but you know that I can't clean a car all on my own. I am your sister-in-law, so you go and do what I've asked of you. I'm not going to let you slack off just because you're in a wheelchair. Sandra, ever since you barged into my house, you've been asking me things like this a lot. Asking me to do things that I just cannot do. What are you wanting to do to me? Nothing. I'm simply asking you to do some favors for me is all. Well, if you don't like helping me out from time to time, then leave the house. If you do that, then you'll never have to be bothered by me asking for help ever again. Understood. I'll wash your car. What? Can you actually do it? You told me a second ago that you can't do it, right? Well, if I don't do it, you're just going to keep complaining, right? So I'll do anything that I have to get you to shut up. Is that so? Well, good luck then. I've only been asking you to do small things for me, so there's no need for you to get up in arms about it. If you have a real problem with me, then you can leave whenever you want. Emily, where are you right now? What's happened with all the chores you're supposed to do today? Don't tell me you plan to slack off today.
Right now, we've taken her to get a medical exam done.
Oh, she did say something about that kind of thing. Well, besides that, did you hear the news? Last night, my parents were having a talk. My mom was saying that she can no longer take having you in the house with us.
Something like that was never said last night.
You never were around to hear any of that, so what are you talking about? She said all of that. She even said that she's pissed that you keep acting like a parasite leeching off of everyone here.
A parasite, huh? Oh, maybe something like that was said.
Huh? What are you going on about right now? You really are messed up more in the head than both your legs are. Well, that doesn't matter now, as long as you understand what all this means. A parasite like you needs to leave this house now. That's what's best for everyone here.
I'm surprised you could say something so audacious. I was talking about having my daughter, you, leave the house.
Huh? I'm not your frickin' daughter. You really do have a screwed up head on you, just like those mangled legs.
The only one that's screwed up right now is you. Saying such horrible things to my cute daughter-in-law. And not just that, but ever since you came into the house without asking, you have done nothing but sit around and take advantage of us. When the hell are you going to find that new house?
What is wrong with you? Are you trying to act like Mom? You're talking to me right now through text, so that's not going to work.
You wish this was her trying to act like me. But right now you are talking to your mother, and you've made her very, very upset. I do not want to see my daughter talking to someone else in the family like you have today.
Is this really you, Mom?
Stop joking, Emily. This isn't a joke. If you're not going to believe me, then do you want me to tell you how long you had been wetting the bed for? Or maybe I can tell you the story of how you'd gotten cheated on in high school. Stop that right now! Why are you using Emily's phone? What happened to her? I told you we're at the hospital right now so that she can get her exam done. Forgot that already? Huh? You said that? You must have just asked where she was to have a reason to start a conversation with her again then. Now let me ask you this. When did I ever say that I was getting fed up with Emily living in this house with us and wanted her to leave? You were talking with Dad about it last night. You said that the parasite living here is being a pain in the butt. And I knew that you were talking about the problems you have with Emily, right? Oh, you're talking about that. Well, you're mistaken. That parasite I was talking about was in reference to you. Huh? You're lying, right? Not at all. You said you had no place to go, and that's why you forced Emily to let you live here. But this whole time you've been here, you haven't done poop. Haven't done poop? I've gone to the realtor once. And that was one time. I know that since then, you haven't been doing a thing to find yourself a house. And just when I thought I was having enough of you, you started to tell Emily to get out of this house. What is that all about? Who the hell do you think you are to be telling her all of that? I don't see you giving anything to be allowed in this house still. You are an embarrassment, Sandra. No, but wait, have you even thought enough about the reality of the situation right now? When you and Dad need to be taken care of in your old age, do you really think Emily can do it in her wheelchair? And if that becomes a problem, your father and I will go into a home. Why should the person who paid for the house to be built have to leave their house? You're the one that needs to be tossed out. But this land is the family's, right? And I'm planning to let Emily buy it from me. I want to use the money she pays us as part of our retirement. Understand? She is being very kind, saying that she's willing to pay for this land. That's what she should be doing. I was originally going to let her have it, but she continued to offer that she pay. I'd rather have a daughter like her than one that complains all day and asks the owner of the house she's allowed to live in to leave. And not only all of those other piss-poor reasons, but also because you've been messing with her for being in a wheelchair. Then are you saying that it's better we all have to leave that house instead of her? I am, Sandra. I am. Let me be transparent with you now. The way that you have been treating Emily is absolutely unacceptable. If you're not going to change everything about yourself right now, then get out of her house. Shut up for a second, Mom. I don't have anywhere to go right now, so you can't seriously be asking me to leave. The owners of this house are Emily and my son. So if you knew living here for the time being was your only way of staying off the streets, then why have you been making fun of the owner? If you don't want to leave this house, then change that attitude of yours right now. If you don't, you won't have a place to live starting tomorrow. The four of us living here are happy for a nasty witch like you to be tossed out whenever. After that, I came back home from the hospital to a very furious sister-in-law standing at the door. She was so furious, in fact, that it was almost like she had forgotten everything her mom had said to her. And right in front of her own mom, she began to cuss me out and even rock me around in my wheelchair. But after seeing that her daughter's attitude had only gotten far worse, Bev became the new monster in the house and slapped Sandra across the face so hard that it went dead silent. And then she dragged her out the front door into the lawn and left her there to come back in with me and lock all the doors. Sandra began to scream and cry, asking to be let in while banging on the door, but we moved upstairs to her room and began going through all her things. And right then and there, Bev called Sandra's husband and told him that they were not welcomed there anymore. Before taking all of Sandra's things and throwing them out the second-story window, including all the fragile things that broke on impact. Luckily, her husband had emergency savings in his account, so he was able to find a new apartment for them to live in. But both Sandra's parents had cut ties with her by now, and so we'll never be seeing her again. I know that me being in a wheelchair limits me from doing a lot of things, but when it comes to most housework, I'm able to do them, as long as there isn't someone constantly trying to put me down. But because Sandra tried to take advantage of me and my disability, she had to feel the full wrath of her mom and lose almost everything she had. I'm not really sure what's been going on in her life now after such an eye-opening experience, but I've heard rumors that her husband is thinking about getting a divorce because of how useless she's become. I'll make sure from now on to continue to do my best to do everything I can for the family, as they've done a lot for me. And while I'm at it, I'll avoid ever making Bev upset, because that last moment between her and Sandra was very scary.
Jacob, you're still not coming home yet? Do you even know what time it is right now? It's been 4 hours now since I've had dinner made and you're still not home from work.
I can still get a taxi or something to ride home in a little bit, and we'll eat that food tomorrow.
But I told you that I wanted you home earlier today, didn't I?
Well, there were some things that came up. I had some things from work come out of nowhere that I needed to handle.
Well, if that's the case, then you should have told me a lot sooner when you first found out. I had messaged you 2 hours ago, right?
Well, I was drinking, so I didn't have time to look at my phone. I'm just going to be home a little bit later today, so don't get so upset with me, okay?
But I had made your favorite food today for dinner. You told me what you had been wanting to eat lately, and so I got it all together for you. And I told you this morning that we'd be having all of it for dinner tonight, didn't I?
Is that so? I'm sorry. I'll hurry up and come home.
But aren't you still drinking?
Well, not anymore that I'm being asked to come home. How can I drink when you keep getting upset with me? You're not going to go to sleep before I get home, right?
Well, if I do fall asleep, then I do. But I might now because I don't have work tomorrow.
Well, if that's the case, then stay awake until I get back.
All right, I will. Hey, you remember what's going to happen on the 3rd of next month, right?
On the 3rd? What was it?
Are you serious, Jacob?
I'm just kidding. I know. It's going to be our wedding anniversary, right?
Even if it's a joke, don't say things like that about our important date.
We're going to be going to the same restaurant we always do for dinner, right? I'll make sure to get us a reservation there, so don't worry.
Well, if you can get that, it would be great. But this time you're not going to be late for the dinner, right?
Why would I be? Have I ever been late to our anniversary dinner before?
You haven't yet, but recently you've been late to a lot of things. And the last time you and I have gone out together was months ago, if I remember correctly.
But you and I have gone out shopping together, right?
Do you consider the two of us going out to the supermarket to get groceries a date?
Well, you and I have been married now for 2 years. I think us doing anything together can be considered a date.
But I'd also like us to do things together that are a bit more relaxing and romantic. You and I both work full-time, and so we're always busy with something going on. But even on days that we both have off together, you're going out on your own, right? You just leave me at home to do all the cleaning.
I'm sorry. My next day off, I'll take some time to help you around the house. And then in the afternoon, you and I can go somewhere you want to go together.
Really? That's a promise, right?
It's a promise. I'm walking outside now, so I'm going to hail a taxi.
Then I'm going to get started on reheating dinner for you. Please be safe on your way home. Listen to me, Jacob.
Huh? What's wrong?
I just got a call from my mom and she's telling me that my little sister had gotten into trouble again.
What happened with her this time?
Well, she seems to have a relationship with a guy at her work.
Man, that right there is a bit too much.
And this morning, that guy from her work came over to my parents' house and started yelling at them to give him my sister. They were getting really close to having a call with the police.
What? Your little sister is still living with your parents?
She lives on her own now, but sometimes she'll go over to their place to stay for a while if they need help with anything. But this time, my mom was furious about what had happened.
Even from the morning, things are starting out rough for all of them.
And it was just 2 years ago that she had cheated on her partner at the time, who happened to be a boss in the company, and she had to pay a lot of money in a settlement to him. I guess she didn't learn a thing back then. Well, if it wasn't her that ended up paying the settlement in the first place, though, my parents did that for her.
I don't know what else to say besides the fact that your little sister really gets around. Now that I think about it, she's only in her mid-20s, right?
Yeah. She's getting close to the point in her life where she should be settling down a bit, yet she's still going out messing around. Why does she want to start so many things with different guys?
Well, there will always be people like her that love to run around and play with various people.
Well, I'm sure I was the same way when I was younger. But just remembering my past makes me so upset.
Well, things like that aren't happening with you anymore, so you're okay.
Well, I can trust you being my partner and husband because we've been together for almost 5 years now. And if you were someone like those guys I'd been with in the past or my sister, I would have never come around to marrying you.
Thank goodness you were able to marry me.
But I'm sure that my family is trying their hardest not to get us around my little sister anymore.
No, I don't mind meeting with her whatsoever, actually.
Well, if you say so.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm just saying that if you don't mind my sister, that's fine. But this time my parents have had enough of her and are planning to outright cut ties with her.
That's right. The last time she was caught having an affair with another man while dating her boss, she made a promise to your parents to never cheat again, right?
Yeah, and if she promised them that, then they would be willing to pay the settlement for her. And since that event had taken place, there was nothing really going on between my sister and my parents and any guys. But now, it actually seems that in these past few years, she's been doing the same kind of things like cheating and dating more people from her work, but all behind our backs. That's what she told my parents today.
Well, saying they'll cut ties to her is a big deal.
Well, that's how far she pushed my parents around with her relationship issues before they met her limits. And it's not just all the cheating and stuff, but the fact that she's always causing problems for everyone when she's around, and my parents have to be there to support her and get her out of it. I think by this point, there are more people that hate her on this planet than like her.
Well, that's probably true. Are you going to be okay with them doing that to her?
I think she has to pay for everything she's done now. And when I think about all the men she hurt, I can feel the anger they must have for her. She's been doing some terrible things, and my parents understand that all too well. I'm sure they still don't want to think about doing what they have to do, and would really like to think that she never could have done any of this.
Because they still love her, right?
I believe so. I feel the same way, but there's nothing else that can be done. I think they have to cut ties with her, and I sort of feel the same way.
I'm not really familiar with everything she's done yet, and she's not my sister, so I'm not sure what you should do. To me, I really thought she was your standard little sister that was always bright and cheerful.
And that's why I'm so upset right now about what's going on and can't figure out what I should do. I'm sorry, Jacob. It's lunchtime right now, and I'm going on all about this.
Don't worry, Miley. I don't mind having to listen to things like this while at work. It's times like these where you should be telling me everything.
Thank you. I don't want to go, but I think I should head back to my parents' house soon. Right now, my mom is having a really hard time handling all of this with my sister.
Alright, go home and help them out. And you should give your little sister a good talking while you're there.
I don't think she'll listen to a word I have to say, though.
Well, you don't know that until you try. When thinking about the fact that the family might kick her out, she might grow up and consider listening.
Well, if she's already hearing that, then it might be too late, right?
Well, sometimes that is the case.
You're running out of time to eat your lunch. I'm sorry for carrying this out on you for so long.
I'm a fast eater, so there's nothing wrong. If you feel that you haven't had enough time to tell me everything, I'll listen to you more tonight.
Really? I've noticed you coming home earlier recently.
Well, someone was telling me I was coming home too late, so you wanted to have more time with me, right?
Yes, thank you. I think today I'm going to make us something good for dinner.
Well, then I'll send you some of my requests in a little bit.
Alright, I'm looking forward to cooking up whatever you want.
Miley, I just got to the restaurant. Are you still not here yet?
Unfortunately, something really bad has happened.
Huh? What really bad thing has happened? Don't tell me you got into an accident.
Well, if you think about it, there has been an accident.
What do you mean if you think about it? You're safe right now, right? If you got into an accident on the day of our anniversary, then I'd never be able to calm down.
That's true. You really wouldn't be able to. And at this point, I'm wondering if I really can say I'm okay or not.
Huh? Are you okay, Miley? What the hell has happened?
My sister has become pregnant. I got a call from her about it right after I got out of work today.
What? Your sister's with another man now? Oh, or are you talking about with that one guy from before?
No! It's your baby! When I asked her whose baby she was pregnant with, she told me it was yours. I'm not laughing about this crap anymore.
Huh? My baby? What the hell are you talking about? After all that crap about an accident happening, it's not the time to start making jokes with me.
It would be a huge relief if it was just all a joke. But now, I've heard about it all from my family. I was even able to see the messages you and my sister have been sending back and forth. You did a fantastic job keeping this one secret from me.
No, wait a second. I think this is all a big misunderstanding. Your sister and I have never even been around each other long enough to do anything like that.
1 year ago, you had met my sister by coincidence downtown, right? And during that short time, you had traded her contact information, right? You don't have to lie to me anymore, Jacob. I know about everything between you two.
No, there's definitely no way that's my kid she's carrying.
The last time you met with my sister was a month ago, right? You told me you were going back to your parents for a bit and so we wouldn't see each other for a little while, right? I have the whole conversation saved in my phone still. And during that time you were away was the same time that my little sister was out of my parents' house. Until one day they asked her to get her butt home.
What are you going on about?
At that point, you could no longer see my sister, and that's when you said you came back from your parents' house, and since then, you hadn't been staying out late anymore. All of these events line up so well now.
I'm telling you, you're wrong, Miley. Think about it for a second. Back then during that time, your sister was still with that one guy from her work, right? It has to be his kid she's carrying. Stop trying to trap me in this position.
Why do you think I'm doing this to you right now, Jacob? You told me you had nothing to do with her.
Well, I only talked with her for a little bit because she wanted to get something for you to celebrate us being together. And so her and I talked about what would be a good present for you, that's all.
My sister is now 3 months into her pregnancy. When you look at the time frame and match it to when you were still meeting her, it matches perfectly. And she's telling me that she wasn't with any other men during that time.
Well, you don't know that. She could still be lying to you about other men again.
She may be a pretty horrible person, but once she's been found out, she stops lying about it. She's told me every little detail about what happened between you two. But I'm sure her talking about all of that is making you upset right now.
Miley, can you calm down for a little for me? I didn't do any of that. I'm serious.
If you start trying to delete any texts now that you guys had, it's already too late. We still have her phone, and she's not deleting a thing. And the funny thing is that she even showed me pictures of you and her together that she took with her phone. So you were going to continue to tell me that I'm wrong when I have a very solid evidence?
I'm sorry. I'm so freaking sorry.
So you're finally going to start taking responsibility for your actions?
I was not being that serious with her at that time. It was just... We just ran into each other by coincidence and the timing was so right, so we just started to...
I'm not going to listen to weak excuses like that. You get your butt over to my parents' house right now. We've had enough of you, you know? I'm going to make you realize just how crappy of an anniversary present you've given me today, and won't stop until you felt all of my wrath.
Miley, I want to meet with you one more time to talk about this.
What? What do you want to talk about now?
I never meant for any of this to turn into us having to get a divorce. The most important person in the world to me right now is you.
What are you talking about? You went and had an affair with my little sister and even got her pregnant?
But even still, I don't want us getting divorced.
Well, I want to get a divorce, and that's the only thing I'm willing to do right now. You're going to become a father now.
No way. I'll pay for the child support, but I'm not doing anything else.
But from what I heard the last time we all talked together, you said you'd remarry to my little sister and then raise your kid with her, right?
Well, that was... Your parents were there as well, so...
Huh? So that was all another lie you had to tell me? You just told us that so that you could get out there as soon as possible?
Well, at that time, I couldn't handle all the stress. I did at one point think about marrying her, but I feel that one should only marry those that he loves.
Well, that person that you loved, you stabbed in the back and made a baby with her sister. Hey, can you try your hardest not to tick me off anymore that I already am? How many times more are you going to try to hurt me before you stop acting like a jerk?
You and I have been doing really well together and have had a fun life together being married. And recently on our days off, you and I have been going out a lot. When it comes to chores, I've started helping with all of them, right?
And that's because my sister had to go back to my parents' house to be yelled at and you could no longer meet her, right?
That's not it at all, Miley. That's when I learned that you really are the only woman for me. So after our last time, there was no more intention of meeting with her again. That was the moment I wanted to end things between us.
But you can't end things with her right now. You have to be a father now, and I'm not letting you run away from that responsibility. And my sister has chosen that she'll go forward with having the baby.
But I don't plan on becoming a parent yet.
So you're just going to leave her and the baby behind right now?
But look, Miley, if I have to be with her and the baby, then you and I will have to get a divorce.
Well, you already made it clear to me that you wanted a divorce the moment you started having an affair with my sister. Even if you didn't get her pregnant, I'd be done with you.
Why are you able to think about divorcing me so easily, Miley? Have you never been in love with me?
Huh? Are you a stinking idiot? I've loved you so much that I've came this far with you. While you had been going out and fooling around with my sister, I still stayed with you and got all the chores done around the house, right? You and I both worked full time, yet I was always making both breakfast and dinner for both of us. I would even work my butt off keeping the house spotless. And that was all because I loved you. So I don't want to hear a word from you about the love I had for you when you had nothing for me.
But listen to me. Is this really the time to be thinking about getting a divorce already? Even celebrities let their spouses cheat on them from time to time without getting a divorce. Some of them will even laugh it off and go out and cheat to even the playing field a little.
You're not a celebrity, right? And when it comes to getting a divorce or not, that all depends on the person and the situation at hand.
But I'm saying that you're lucky that I'm coming back to you, and I'm saying I still love you. So please stop talking about divorce like you don't care about my love for you.
It's not that I don't care about what you love me or not. It's just that the moment I learned about you having an affair with my sister, my love for you vanished because I saw that you have no love for me. That was the moment I realized I had to divorce you. Now I couldn't care less what happens to you after this.
Why have you turned into such a cold person now? Aren't you going to become lonely if we separate?
Oh, I will. I really want to believe that this is all some sort of twisted nightmare. It's so painful for me that I just want to wake up from it. But you and my little sister having an affair is all reality. So there's no other way to break free of this pain besides leaving you.
There are other ways, though. You and I can rekindle the love we had before each other. Can you trust me? Let's you and I get back to being husband and wife and move on like none of this has ever happened.
That's not something that you should be asking me for right now. What do you think you're doing? Why, after having an affair with my sister and getting her pregnant, are you acting like you have the right to blame me? You're the freaking problem. So you shut the freaking hell up and listen to me.
Miley,
No!
I'm so sorry. I don't want us to get divorced, though.
I don't want to get divorced. I want to make up again. Why are you the one telling me this when you cheated on me? You're an adult now. Whether you can see that or not, as an adult, you take full responsibility of your actions. I'm not going to just sit here and let you walk all over me like I'm the one being ridiculous right now.
Forgive me, please. You don't even have to forgive me, but at least be by my side. I'm saying that I'll never do anything like that again to you.
You still think there's going to be an again? This is why you're being divorced. Stop thinking that I have to be with you anymore.
Miley, I'm really sorry for what I did. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
Even a child can apologize like you are. But an adult would be able to take responsibility for what they've done and walk away. So stop trying with me or I'll really let loose on you. I believe from the bottom of my heart that I would have been better off never marrying you. From there, it took a few days, but my parents, my in-laws, and myself all went over to Jacob's house and forced him to sign the divorce documents. And while there, we had a lawyer come over, and after everyone but my husband had agreed, it was decided that I'd get everything in the divorce. I was also going to be getting a settlement from both him and my sister for them having an affair. But since my sister really didn't have anything, Jacob paid off both of what they owed. Also, after seeing his parents even help me out with getting a divorce and settlement from him, Jacob was able to fully understand the kind of deep water he was in and never spoke to me again. After the divorce, my ex and my sister remarried and have been living together. But towards the end of her pregnancy, my sister's baby stopped growing. And now that there's a little chance of the baby being born, my ex argues that he doesn't have to be married to my sister anymore. But she argues back that she doesn't want to work. So those two go back and forth day after day about what they're going to do. And when it comes to my sister, when she's decided on something, there's no changing her mind. So whether they like it or not, they're going to continue to be stuck with one another for a long time. I think that even with all the hate and arguing that they are always going through, she still likes to be with him, and that's just weird. But as for my parents and I, we're cutting ties with her. And so, we don't care what really happens to her and Jacob. And it's great to think that she'll never be able to cause any trouble ever again. And I think it's a good thing if my ex stays with her for the rest of his life as well. After what had happened to everyone then, my parents and I packed up and moved to a new house together. And we moved somewhere that my sister would never be able to find, so we really don't have to think about her even coming back again. And to make sure that she would never be able to find me, I left my job and found a new one with a company she doesn't know. So right now, I'm able to take things slowly with my loving parents and let time heal the wounds that I have to my heart from that jerk of a man. I never planned on losing both my sister and husband in one event, but I find that things are going to be way better for me going into the future. And once I've caught a new wind, I'm going to ride it into a life where people like them can't take advantage of me. I'm going somewhere that those kinds of people can't even touch me. And there, I'll be able to forget the things I've lost and forget the pain I've felt and go back to the person I've always been on the inside.